you filthy pirate! I'm Ringo. Follow me if you want to live. Rock!
Pirates VR Jolly Roger is coming to PSVR2 from PCVR, and unbelievably it only took me 2 hours to complete today, which was a complete surprise as the quoted time is actually 4 to 6 hours, but there is in fact 2 endings, and while I won't spoil them for you, it literally rests on collecting 2 items. So if you fail to find both items, you'll get the bad ending, and if you want to get the good version of the ending, it means playing the entire game from the start, which is obviously where they've managed to get this 4 to 6 hours playtime quote from. Now the problem with this is you could easily find the 2 things that you need and therefore finish the game in its entirety the very first time round. So in knowing this, let's dive into some details to find out if Pirates VR Jolly Roger is indeed worth the $20 or potentially $10 an hour on PSVR2. The story sees you set out on an adventure retracing the steps of this guy's brother who went on a treasure hunt. He gives you a map stating you can keep the bounty if you find out what happened to his brother. You then start out on an island assisted by a talking parrot who is actually quite funny sometimes, but also pretty annoying due to his repetitive nonsense. But he can also be shot, which is quite satisfying, but it will restart you from the last save point. So for those of you who like to get all the PlayStation trophies, keep this in mind when you kill him. There's 5 chapters in total that take around 20 to 25 minutes each, and overall I did find it quite a fun adventure. There's a bit of puzzling with a lot of collecting and some exploring, but it's all pretty basic. The actual gameplay consists of climbing, hitting rocks and using a magic lantern to hurt enemies, and you also get a pistol, which is a one and done headshot kill on the majority of the enemies. And before I forget, there is indeed headset rumble, but it's only used when something in the environment happens, like falling rocks for example. And it may even happen when you get hit by the enemy, but it's very rare in this game you actually take any damage, and I'll get to explaining why that is in a minute. The graphics range from good when you're in the indoor environments, and they're okay outside. Don't get me wrong, it's nice and vibrant, and the desert island does indeed look like a beautiful desert island. But the resolution is slightly lower than I expected. It's not terrible, but it's just on the soft side. This game runs at 120Hz reprojected, and overall, Pirates VR Jolly Roger feels, plays and looks like an indie game. And that's because it is. The combat unfortunately is pretty woeful. You can simply take a step back every time the skeleton dudes take a swing at you or try and kick you, and it's because they have to stop every time they start an attack animation. And this gives you the perfect opportunity to get the headshot, and after the first couple encounters, the combat loses its charm and it feels a bit more like a chore. Later on though, there is some other enemy variants that do have guns and they run around, but to be clear, this is near the end of the game, and it's clear to me the choice was made by the developers to try and overrun you versus having more varying enemy types throughout this very short adventure. Overall, Pirates VR Jolly Roger feels like a very old VR game, and I'm talking 2017 standards. That's not to say I didn't enjoy myself at certain points. Exploring the island, using the underwater air pockets to stay underwater in the caves was cool. And there was another moment where I was dodging some swinging axes, which was also cool. But I simply believe there is not enough meat on the bone to give this a buy recommendation even at $20. You go out of your way to gather all the gold, the ammo and the lamp oil, expecting some major event to happen, but apart from a very simple boss at the end, this moment never comes, which is a shame, and that's how you feel at the end. It just feels like a missed opportunity. If they were to call this a prologue to a full Pirates VR game that's coming later on, it might sit a little bit better with me. But when you combine mediocre combat, okay graphics, and an extremely short playtime, because even after getting the bad ending, I don't really want to play it again, I will give it a wait for a sale recommendation, even at $20. Now obviously this depends on your circumstances. You might be inclined to spend that sort of money on what feels like a intro to a VR game, but just keep in mind what I've said today if you do pick it up. And as always, be sure to come back and let others know your thoughts if you do pick it up. I'll also be posting a full playthrough on my second channel called Virtual Reality Gaming for those of you who like that sort of content. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more VR content, and consider becoming a member of the channel or a patron if you feel these videos are helpful to you, and I'll see you on the next one.